Hi there, it's Lynn from Life Yoga, and welcome to today's Transformation Talk Mind Release. Super exciting topic today. I hope you guys are all happily engaged here. Please, just a little transformation talk etiquette here. If you have questions that you need to ask during the talk or you want me to answer them later, please put comments in the section below here on your transformation talk thing below the video, and I will get to those and answer them as well as I can, either during the talk or afterwards. And also heads up for future transformation talks if you come here often. Please leave questions. If you have questions on the topic, leave them before transformation talk, and then I can be sure to answer them for you during the talk and get some of that stuff going for you. So just know that that's how it works. Also, bring your friends. Let other people know that this is happening as much as you can, and we'll be able to reach more people, cover more topics, and get some good information out there. So today's topic, yes, so excited, mind release. So what brought about this topic for me is that for years and years and years as a yoga teacher and a yoga therapist, I have clients and students come to me constantly and say, I just can't stop thinking. I can't stop my thoughts, I can't get into the feeling of my body. You're telling me to inhale, exhale, and feel this and that, or focus on my breath, and all of these thoughts keep popping up in my head. And usually I smile at them and say, well, that in general means that you're a highly intelligent person and you're highly cognitive, which is generally the case. I find that a lot of students who have very, very active minds, clients who have active minds and they're problem solvers, tend to go to their brain and their cognitive thought process to kind of mind their way into their practice. And this is a good news, bad news situation. If, for example, you're recovering from injury, or you have things in your life you want to change, and that intensity level and that intelligence and problem-solving mindset, as we might say, in self-help, that mindset that you can think your way through things is a valuable thing. What that means is that you have the intensity level and the energy and the engagement in your mind to begin to facilitate change. The downside of that in the yogic process and in the process of actually getting in there and facilitating long-lasting change is that a lot of the time you think you can do it with your mind, and the reality is that your mind doesn't really control a lot of this stuff. So we're going to talk about a few things today to help you with that, I can't stop my mind when I'm going to sleep at night. It keeps clicking. I'm standing there in yoga practice, and everybody else seems to be in the Zen moment, and my mind's clicking on the 10,000 things I have to do today, and all the reasons why this will work or won't work in my body, and all that thinking stuff. So we're going to look at a few different things here. Number one, really going to look at what is a thought and what causes these thoughts to go through our head and our mind to spin like that. What is a thought energetically? Where do thoughts come from? What causes them ultimately? And once we get into that and look at what they are and how they work, we're going to look into the patterning and some of the solutions that we have here at Life Yoga to get you to begin to be able to be in sensation and release those thoughts. So that's the plan. We're going to analyze the thoughts. We're going to look at where they come from. We're going to look at how the process works, and then give you some solutions to help you start releasing from that mind all the time. So here we go. A thought. What is a thought, and where does it come from? So in the cognitive part of the brain, perceptive part, when you perceive that you're having thoughts about things, and those thoughts are happening, those are going through the mindy cognitive part of your brain. And where these things come from, we can't quite be sure. Actually, we can. Know that you have your soulful sense, right? We've got that. We've got energy. So a thought itself is energy. The world is made up of energy again. Got to go there. Quantum physics, expansion theory, Newtonian physics, science, science, science. A thought is energy. Everything on this universe, everything that we experience is energy. We are energy. The rock, sky, trees are energy. Our physical bodies are energy. And our thoughts are energy. And the only thing that energy does is it changes form. It does not change from being energy, and it's neither created nor destroyed. Newtonian physics. So I'll need to go back to that to refresh you. If some of those concepts are a bit much for you right now, and you feel that you need more information on that, please, please, please get in the box below here. Get in the first few chapters of the Life Yoga Manifesto. That will explain a lot of the principles behind energy and how energy works and how it works through a human. So I'm not going to go into that in great detail right now, but just know that your thoughts and your feelings and your physical body and everything that happens in your human being in your life is all energy. So if a thought is energy, where does that energy come from and how is it controlled? So principles of life yoga and of the human anatomy and human being in life is that you are alive because you breathe. Realities of being human. You're alive because you breathe. Your breath controls your subconscious nervous system. Very, very important. Breath controls your subconscious nervous system, which controls your thoughts. Very important in this case. That's the underlying control of your thoughts. It's the underlying control of your entire human body, your person, your physicality. And it also controls, because it controls your thoughts and your human energy, it controls the energy that you emit from your human. It controls the energy that is you. So, like energy attracts like energy. So, how you are being subconsciously not only dictates the thoughts that you are having, how you are being in your subconscious nervous system dictates the thoughts you are having and the types of thoughts you are having, but it also dictates the energy of those thoughts and what you emit from your human, and that energy in turn attracts like energy. So your thoughts themselves as energy are attracting thoughts like them. Good way to look at this, for example, you wake up in the morning and you wake up and for whatever reason, maybe you didn't get enough sleep, maybe you had a bad day, maybe you're soulfully sensing something isn't right, but your thoughts kind of start going awry and you start thinking about all the bad things that could happen this day. This is, for those of us who are mindy and over analytical and maybe a bit prone to anxiety disorder. But these things happen. If you have I'm going to use anxiety disorder, in fact, as an example for this, because that's a big thing in therapeutics with thoughts that kick in. So you wake up and the first thought is an anxious thought. Maybe you're having anxiety because you know, you have a special meeting with a special person that day, and maybe it's something that could go wrong in your subconscious mind or your mind, and you start having thoughts of, oh, this could happen bad, and this could be bad, and this could be bad. What happens is those thoughts energetically, not just as they're moving through your human being and causing energetic things in your human being as well, which they do, but those thoughts begin to attract like energy to that. So pretty soon, you know, you look in your breakfast cereal and you're like, oh my God, there might be a fly. I saw a fly flying around. There might be a fly in my breakfast cereal. And it goes on and on and on all day until it builds. And by the time you get to the place where you have your meeting with a special person that you might have some anxiety about or bad thoughts about, everything in your world now seems difficult and bad. And so when it feels difficult and bad, in turn, those subconscious feelings and the feeling in your human systems, body, mind, spirit connection, right? We're going to talk about how that works in a minute, but that is going to cause you to have more negative thoughts about maybe the first thing you were having the negative thought about, if that makes sense. The whole thing just feeds upon itself, and pretty soon, like, gosh, I'm just in this negative place and I can't seem to get out of it. And then all of your friends and everybody that wants to help you says, you know, just get an attitude change. And you're like, yeah, get an attitude change. Right. I don't think so. Right? And that's why we can't just stop thinking about it. Or people say, stop thinking about it. Stop worrying about it. Stop mulling that over in your mind. Even in yoga class. You know, constantly these yoga teachers are saying, you know, maybe release the mind, step into your soulful sense, and you're like going, there's too many thoughts, there's too many thoughts. I can't even think about my soulful sense, because you can't think about your soulful sense. That's a feeling. And as those thoughts kick in, that begins to mushroom, and then your perception and your human nervous system is now in holding of thought mode, which we'll get into in a little bit when we get into some of the graphics on this. But it gets into holding of thought mode, and when your thoughts, you're so stuck in your thoughts, then you can't go deeper to release them because that pattern is going. So we're going to look at the Wheel of Life for a minute, Life Yoga tool, and just look at how this pattern works. How does the soul, the breath, physical body, and the mind actually connect? We constantly hear in yoga about, in yoga and in life, and in every self-help, and get you guys out of the sun here, all of these ways of being in the body where the mind and the body and the spirit are connected. So let's look at how they really connect. I'm going to click over here, give you the graphic. We use this tool. Yeah. See my arrow because the sun. Yeah, there it goes. This is a tool, again, Life Yoga Wheel of Life. I use this a lot. Was developed. Are we screen sharing that? There we go. As a system to teach yoga teachers originally in my 650-hour yoga teacher training, to teach them how to look at a body, look at a human being, and see where the energetic blocks are here, to see where their issues may be coming from so that they could help facilitate change in them. So quick introduction to this, if you haven't seen it. This yellow part right here, center, this is all of the energetic possibility in the universe. Some people call that God. I like to call it the cosmic soup. This is energy. All of the possibilities in the universe that we have access to or not, but they're the ones that are happening. So this means, you know, every mood you could have. It means every new house you could have. It means Every green bean you could eat for dinner, it means everything. Access to all is right here. As human beings, we have that soulful sense, subconscious feeling, knowing, the thing we can't quite describe, tie of spirit. A lot of people call that spirit, the tie of their spirituality to God. I like to call it subconscious feeling, knowing for the most part. The thing that we just feel and know is, this is our connection to the cosmic soup. So this red here is our subconscious soulful sense, feeling, and knowing. It's that thing we can't quite describe, but it is the thing in us that we all feel. It's our connection to the world. It's our connection to other human beings on a soulful sense. That deep subconscious feeling, knowing, gut feeling. So this, because we're alive because we breathe, right? We have a subconscious feeling, knowing, our soul, or whatever you want to call it, that's floating around and all this stuff, accessing this stuff, attracting by how we're being, basically, through expansion, intention, manifestation of energy into being. I'm not going to go crazy there with that today, but that's the Life Yoga flow here. How we open to this stuff, what we choose from that, our intentions we choose from the cosmic soup, how we manifest that into energy, which creates our soulful being in that less than a second. So those are our choices as far as how we relate to the cosmic soup and what we draw from it. That being, because we're alive, because we breathe, that has to move in through the human body. So once we get into the human body is interesting, because the first thing that happens is our breath, our inhalation, our exhalation. And the inhalation and the exhalation is happening the entire time that we're operating as humans. So this breath here connects our soul to us. This is very, very important. And this connection of the breath, the subconscious nervous system is driven by the breath. So however we're inhaling, exhaling, determines how we engage energy through our body to create posture. So, which is basically, posture is how we're being in this less than a second. So we can look at this anatomically and inhale, exhale, however we engage, transfer energy physically through our body on a skeletal level, anatomical level here. That's where we end up in a yoga posture. I'm hoping it's not getting too loud here in the background because I've got a train going by and a plane. And hopefully you guys can hear here. Our breath triggers our subconscious nervous system, and how we engage in the subconscious nervous system, conscious nervous system, determines how energy moves through our body and where we end up in space. What this does also, if you look at this purple here, we're talking about physical body here. We're also talking about mind, but the breath, however this happens, moves through, and that kicks into our perception. So it kicks into subconscious perception, how we perceive in our subconscious nervous system. And it also kicks into our cognitive perception and our thought processes. So knowing here that how we are being in posture determines both our subconscious and conscious perception. The subconscious is already working. You know, once we hit the breath, this stuff is going on. But this stuff from the red, from this, our subconscious feeling, knowing that soulful sense, however we're being in that, is moving through our physical body and our subconscious nervous system here to create the subconscious perception and conscious perception and cognitive thought that we have. So how we are being here in our mind also dictates and decides what's happening in our physical body. We can even decide how we're going to breathe in a moment, in any given moment, slow that down, because breath is both conscious and subconscious. So if that makes sense here, how we're being here in our cognitive mind, we can also decide to slow our breath down, feel our breath differently, right? And change this pattern, change our feeling, and change what we have access to here as possibility. So I'm hoping that makes sense. Just know the subconscious mind determines thoughts. The thoughts, not what we're thinking necessarily changes the subconscious mind, which is where we get into trouble here in the mind meld and the thought release. We can't decide just to release our thoughts because the subconscious mind is driving them. So again, make sure you get that. You can't just say, I'm going to calm my mind and release my thoughts. If your thoughts are going 10,000 miles an hour, all that happens is your 10,000 miles an hour, which we've all experienced, especially the type A's of us. Then you just go to, I need to release my thoughts. I need to release my thoughts. Am I thinking? Am I thinking? Oh, I must be thinking. I'm not thinking. I'm not thinking. Kind of like that thing when you a lot of people with active minds have a difficult time sleeping, and you start thinking about going to sleep, and then you're just thinking more about going to sleep, and then you think about how you can't go to sleep, and how you're not going to sleep, and how that's going to affect your day, and then that cycles back into I need to go to sleep, which goes into I can't sleep. So just know that this is happening. This up here, how those thoughts are working, we can choose, and this gets into solution here, we can choose with our thoughts and our mind to decide that we are going to go into the sensation of our breath and change our breathing, which will change our access to this soulful sense, right? Which will change the possibility of us, allow us to enter into the possibility here and have access to the possibility of being in a different state other than a mind hold, other than thoughts going. We can choose to begin to feel this here. So that's the only thing we're making a choice here, is to make a choice with our mind to have an action to change our breathing pattern, which will change our subconscious feeling knowing, that will give us access to that, which will allow us to change either our attitude or our thought patterns or whatever's happening there. So I'm hoping that makes sense. I'm going to click back by here. Click us back over here. Just get me back in a sec. I'm thinking. It should happen. You may have me back. Let me see where I am here. Here I am. Okay. So that's how that works. So solutions to this. Very, very, very interesting. Probably your first best bet, if you're a mindy and you overthink everything and you can't seem to get that access. I'm just going to move myself over here so I'm not blinded. And you have trouble accessing the feeling sense, is to begin by deciding in your mind, with your mind, because it's king at the moment, if this is happening to you. Go to your mind and take that focus on everything that's distracting you and put that focus into simply feeling what your breath feels like. And every single time your mind starts kicking in with thoughts outside of that, you're just going to breathe, slow your breath down, inhale, exhale, focus your energy on your breath. So one of the things that works, the tricks to this that works better, your mind's going to kick in and say, am I focusing on my breath? Am I feeling my breath? Am I feeling my breath? Am I focusing on my breath? If you focus at the end of the exhalation, again, end of exhalation is king. If you haven't already gotten this information, just going to give you a place to go right now. There's a video either on YouTube called Exhale. There's a blog on lifeyogaworld.com. Again, that's lifeyogaworld.com, called Exhale. It has a video there. The little girl's on that. Teaches you all about how the breath works and how to begin to access and manifest change at the release of exhalation. I'm not going to go into that drastically today for these purposes, but know that if you inhale, if you let your exhale release completely and then really focus on the sensation and the feeling of your breath, that will work better than if you inhale and decide you're feeling it, because what will happen if your mind takes over is you'll inhale, be feeling and taking all that information in, as I do it. You'll be taking all that information in, and because your mind kicks in, it'll actually make you hold your breath there, and you'll get it screwed up. So when the breath is in release, the subconscious, you have access to your subconscious nervous system. So with the release of exhalation, you have access to the subconscious nervous system. So if you can just get yourself to breathe, feel the feeling of that, release your exhalation, and then notice what that feels like, and then breathe in again, then you kind of start to get into the loop. The more you ground your feet as you're doing that, just notice sensation in your feet, that'll ground that energy a little bit. A lot of the time, a lot of us with really active minds up here, and especially when the thoughts become scattered and just a little zingy there, and you have trouble releasing from them. Most of us who have active minds also tend to become ungrounded a lot. So if you can ground a bit and feel what that feels like, and then breathe, focus on the breath, keep grounding, just keep feeling sensation in your feet. Even if you're lying down, stick your feet against a wall or something and just notice if you can transfer energy through there. That will help. Best case scenario, again, is to inhale, exhale, release the breath, engage through the pelvic floor, perineum there, pelvic floor, root chakra, ground through your feet and feel that connect up to your head. You need to feel the grounded part before you connect to your head, especially if you're a minded person. Otherwise, you start minding it, and you're minding all that grounding in there. It sounds a little odd, but it's basically somatic therapy that if we can get into the physical body and feel the connection and the connection of the feet to the head, that and the pelvic floor, of course, that allows our body to begin to feel centered and safe, which tells the subconscious nervous system that everything's okay, which a lot of the time will begin to slow down the thought process. Guaranteed, when your mind is going nuts on you and you're having a hard time slowing down, guaranteed your center energy, medial line of the body, and the center energy of the body is not engaged. So know that. There are some other videos in here. Actually, last week's video, I believe, gives, when we talk about anatomical connection to the pelvis and posture and all of that, that video gives the whole tamale of how to inhale, exhale, engage energy through your feet to your head. If you can get the lower body grounded, the upper body becomes free. When we don't feel center energy, and energy in our body is not working from the center out, this is again quantum physics. Go read the first 5 chapters of the Life Yoga Manifesto in depth in the whole book. It has that. It's up on Amazon. Go grab it, or just get the 5 chapters here. But if you read that, you will understand the universe works like this. Physical body, again, is a microcosm or a macrocosm of that. depending on how you want to look at it. But energy works from the center out. When the center energy doesn't work, the outside holds. When we are in outside holding, we are pulling thoughts, we're doing anything. As a human, the thoughts go nuts. You'll notice when you're thinking, and life is stressful and you can't release it, that's when your body hurts, and that's when your back starts hurting, your neck, where we have a lot of injury, actually, in people. I actually have a few clients and some family members, for those of you who know me, who tend to get so spun in their mind that even though they may be athletic, they may be strong, they tend to have a lot of accidents. And that's due to the fact, a lot, that the mind is so overloaded that the physical body and the subconscious takes over and stops you. That's why we get sick when we're stressed, one of the reasons. That's why we tend to have injuries and life occurrences happen to us that stop us in our tracks and our thought processes in our life and make us shift path, because the mind is on overload and the subconscious kicks in. Pretty cool, actually, and says, hey, wait a minute, you know, this stuff really isn't that important, because you know what, we're going to give you something to let you know that this is not working for the physical body or the soul of this person, and it kicks in and actually makes the mind do things to facilitate change. Fascinating. So those are things to know and think about. And think about. Think. And be in. One of the other tools I want to give you is based on the fact that sometimes we don't know, as humans in our mind, we are so wrapped up, and we get so wrapped up in our mind and the things that are happening and what our lives are doing and how our body's being, and whether our shoulders release from our ear, whether the shoulder blades on the back, famous thing for minding people, human thing that happens, whether our jaw is released. And if you're one of those people in yoga class or in life that's constantly shifting yourself and doing this with your jaw, wondering if your pelvis is in the right position or if your feet are in the right position, especially athletes that do this, it's just, it becomes comical. You don't do those things with your mind, because all of your stabilization in your body is subconscious. All of the positioning in your life is subconscious. So if you are consciously always trying to get yourself in the perfect place, either jacket off here, hot out here, either in your physical positioning or your life positioning, I always kind of call it jockeying for position in yoga class, because the people who wiggle and squirm a lot, and I used to be very, very guilty of this. Early in my practice, I would try to position my body, especially because of my disability, try to get it to where I felt like it was in the right place so that it would feel good. And that doesn't really work. You can't get yourself to the right place in your mind where you feel good, because your mind isn't really causal of what you feel like. So when those thoughts come in, and the thoughts come in, and we're pulling in from the outside and trying to find the right thought, and doing that, and doing that, and doing that, and our minds are racing. For some people, if I just say, for example, inhale, exhale, feel your soulful sense, they don't even know what that feels like anymore. And that's a lot of us, and it happens at different periods of life for some people. Some of us are more prone to that than others, but we can't get in there and feel it. So how do we solve that? If the thoughts are happening, and we're saying breathe and feel your soulful sense, and you don't even know what that feels like. I have had students, many students over the years, come up to me after yoga class and be like, how do I know if I'm getting it? How do I know if I get it? What is this thing you're talking about, this soulful sense, and how do I know if I'm accessing it? What does it feel like? How do I know I'm there? And I'm like, how do you know you're there? How am I supposed to answer that? That's you, right? Um, and the reality is that we don't ever, I think, cognitively know we're there. We can analyze the sensation we've had and say we felt the sensation of connection or this feels better, but to verbalize it is really, really difficult, and to put a little tag on it that says goal achieved, I have now melted into my soulful sense and move this energy through my body, that's a pretty difficult thing. So if, not to say it doesn't happen, because it does a lot, in my work, people will say, oh, I feel it. And then I know that they're feeling it, but it's not something that they're like, oh, I got it, my foot's by my ear now. It's not that kind of an awareness, and it's difficult to describe to people. So if that is you, and you just can't get in there, first steps of what you need to be doing to help yourself do that is just go to the sensation of your breath as much as you can. Notice what your breath feels like. And don't have any expectation that a little light bulb is going to go on up there and all of a sudden you're going to know and feel connected, because in reality, if your mind's that crazy, it's going to be crazy for a while. One of the things in yoga classes that's always interesting is, you know, you're in Shavasana or in meditation early on, or early in meditation class, and say, you know, release from your thoughts, release from your thoughts. And the reality is that thoughts are going to happen. You're going to have thoughts. Even when you meditate, thoughts are happening. That is human. It's the reality of being human. If you didn't have thoughts, you wouldn't be able to survive in this world. To really, really clear the mind entirely takes years and years and years of dedicated meditative practice. And for most people, you know, that's not really a reality in our lifetimes to be able to reach this place of, you know, nirvana or wherever, whatever we want to call it, where we're entirely released from the thoughts. The most we can do as human beings, and why the practices of Hatha Yoga were invented, is to be in sensation more so than thoughts. Sensation more so than thoughts. So if you're one of those people that is trapped, go to the sensation of your breath. Don't worry about that voodoo, soulful sense, subconscious feeling and knowing I'm always talking about in class, because I do say that. Just feel the sensation of your breath. Notice your inhale, what it feels like to inhale, open space. Notice what it feels like to release fully in exhalation, and maybe just engage a little bit of energy from the pelvis. That's all you need to do. As crazy as that sounds, that will begin to change the patterning of your thoughts, because if it's that far gone and that far held, all you're looking to accomplish in your mindy self for the goals is to open the physical body, the nervous system on the inhale, and make sure the exhale, feel that exhale release entirely, and then engage energy from the pelvic floor, low belly. That's all you want to do. Full inhale, exhale, release, and feel energy engaging from the pelvic floor. What that does in the subconscious nervous system is begin to give your subconscious nervous system a feeling of release into center. Whether you're feeling that in your analytical mind when you kick it back, whether you're feeling that or not, that may not even happen for a while. You may not feel that, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as you are engaging and inhaling fully, releasing your exhale entirely, and then engaging energy from the pelvic floor. This is going to tell you, again, that your subconscious nervous system is going to say, okay, we're safe here. Maybe we don't have to overthink this. Huge for people with anxiety, by the way. I deal with a lot of it, so I bring it up a lot. It's a big issue, especially in the U.S. Anxiety, depression issues, that fluctuation of mood, anger issues, all of those issues. You cannot mind that stuff away. It does not work. You can tell yourself the situation is not stressful, shouldn't be stressful, shouldn't be causing you to be angry, have anxiety, have a panic attack. It doesn't matter. You can go around that. You might be able to work it a little, but it's not going to get to the cause, the underlying cause of the problem. So you need to let the breath release. When that subconscious nervous system is in release, that's when you have an opportunity to move a new pattern through it that changes the old one, that always kicks in and tells you that things are stressful, and starts that mind click happening to where you can't think anymore because it's so quick. So note to self: inhale, exhale, release fully, engage energy from the perineum. If you can get your feet to activate, feel some sensation in the feet, that's great. Eventually connecting that up to the head will begin to bring you focus that is productive for you. Everything, again, for you super mindy go-getters whose minds go 1,000 miles an hour, it's gonna seem so slow. It's gonna seem so slow. You'll notice, if you're mindy, that you want to engage everything before you release your exhale entirely. That pattern goes with that. Know that. Let it be slow, because what happens is when the mind slows down, we can begin to release into productive focus. So if your mind's going and you have all these plans, but your subconscious nervous system and your breath and your body are not on board, as a human being, it is not going to happen. You're either going to tell yourself it's happening and find out later that it didn't happen. You're going to tell yourself that it's happening and later maybe somehow it happened, but you're physically and mentally going to be wrecked and more stressed out than you were when you started. Or nothing is going to happen and you're going to be like, I'm scattered, I'm all over the place, these thoughts keep kicking in. And that's because it has to go through center and through your human, through that subconscious to the conscious to really get out. So one more topic here I'm going to give you. A lot of us in life, as a result, just move a little bit here because I'm crying. Move you back, sorry. A lot of us, as a result of our life experience, have a lot of things. I was just discussing with yoga teacher and friend and colleague, Ms. Robin, this morning, as we did our yoga practice on the dock, which was awesome. She's a therapist, and we were talking about, what about the people who have so much trauma and so much armoring that they can't get to the breath and they can't go to that place, that deep place in the inside out, and maybe that armoring is serving them, and maybe we don't want to release all of that at once because that will make their lives worse than they are and make them more unstable. This is a little bit of a whole other subject. Yet the gist of it right now is just say, if you're one of those people who can't let go of the mind, or not feeling like you can let go of that, and you can't even get to that feeling of what it feels like, or where your soul is, you don't even know who you are anymore, your mind just keeps going and making up stories for you over and over again, maybe telling you who you are, but you don't really feel it. If you're one of those people with those issues, focus on the breath, let the exhale release, engage, and once you start to just feel the engagement of the breath of the body and you can focus on that, maybe notice if certain thoughts come to mind that might be the things, underlying subconscious areas that are preventing you from opening up. So you need to be in that breath. You need to be in the release of the subconscious. Simultaneously, however, you can maybe cognitively think about something in your childhood that may have caused you to be this way. Cognitively, maybe open up things in your life that may cause you to be in this holding pattern. A lot of the time you can start to feel your way through there. And if you come upon a particular thought or a particular area, then you can inhale, exhale, stay in the feeling, but begin to send energy from the breath and focus on that particular thing, whatever that is. So say, I'm just going to develop a hypothetical here for you. Uh-oh. Say I have fear and insecurity. I'm going to use one of mine here, okay? I have fear and insecurity around alcohol. I myself am not an alcoholic. I drink half a glass of wine and pass out. It doesn't work for me, but in my experience in my life, I have been around some really sticky situations with other people's alcoholism. So when I am in a situation around a lot of alcohol and maybe people getting, inebriated or out of hand, what happens with me is my mind immediately kicks in and tells me all these stories about how absolutely terrible this is going to be. My subconscious kicks in, and I know this, and it kicks in and tells me all these bad things are going to happen. So a few years back, I was having some issue with this, not because cognitively I felt necessarily that there was anything wrong, but I would notice that whenever I got engaged around people doing a lot of drinking or things of that sort, that my mind would race and I would start racing and coming to all these conclusions about how this was going to pan out and what was going to happen. And it would really bother me because it's like I'd be at a party around this stuff with nothing happening, nobody doing anything out of hand, and I would immediately assume that everything was going to go awry and amok. And I was so tied up in my thought processes with this stuff that I didn't even really notice how I was feeling about it. I would just have these reactions and these mind melds about it, and a lot of thought and anxiety that had way too much attention on those thoughts for the situation at hand. And I couldn't really get in there and figure that out. And then I was just feeling like, well, this is just the way that I am. And so I would think myself out of it, right? I try to think myself out of it and go, this is not the situation. This is a different situation. This is not what's happening. Traditional therapy, I analyze it, go, this was this, and this over here is this, and this is okay, and this is safe because of this, this, and this. But my underlying feeling and anxiety about it would still, every time I went into that situation, it would, a situation like that situation, anything having to do with that, I would have all these thoughts come up, and I couldn't stop my mind from thinking about it. It was upsetting. No matter how much I would decide that it was a different situation. So it was only for myself when I began to inhale, exhale, and go into the underlying subconscious feeling and knowing of the cause, not just cognitively knowing that, yeah, over here I had a problem with this, and this was a problem, and I know I have trauma from here, and this is over here, and this is different. Not that. Not even being like, well, I'm Lenny, and this is just because of my past, I have this problem, and then that kicks in, and your thoughts kick in and tell you how you are about this. This is why I feel this way about this situation right now. Those are all cognitive thoughts telling me what those feelings mean and how they are, but it is not the thought that is going to get me into my system to change that. So when I did actually use my own medicine, because I get to use this stuff too, more than most. And I began to I couldn't cancel the thoughts out, so I began to just inhale, exhale when I was in those situations, engage through my center, feel that center, and then notice what I was feeling, and feel if I could move the feeling through and out of me, and change that pattern, and begin to associate different feelings with that. And that's when things began to change for me in that situation. Now, I don't really think anything terrible is going to happen because people are at a party drinking wine anymore. I don't have that icky feeling when I'm around it. Every once in a while, but not too much, and then I go back in and do it. So that is an example of something that I could not change with my mind. I could change with my thoughts. I had to go in the other way because everything was embedded too deeply. And in those moments, when that was actually upon my mind and happening, I was having trouble even accessing anything inner to change it. So that goes for anything. Injury, when the mind kicks in and says, oh, it's just not going to get better, it's not going to get better. Or the mind's kicking in saying, yeah, it's going to get better, it's going to get better, but the body and the breath and the soul are not in agreement. That's when that conflict in there, that's what triggers those thoughts to go crazy. So, thanks to Robin, yeah. Different ways to handle those things. Go to the breath, go to the sensation of the breath, root that through, and then also maybe if it's really stuck, go to the breath, feel that, root that, and then maybe begin to feel and even analyze in your mind where that's coming from so you can get back in there and feel it and allow your meditation or your thought process to go there to the process of releasing. One more quick analysis on thoughts. Know that if the thoughts are a problem, okay, whatever thought it is, it's a problem for you that you keep thinking over and over. Like energy attracts like energy. The more energy you draw to the problem, and the fact that you're thinking about it, and the fact that, in the case of not being able to sleep, insomnia, a huge thing for active-minded people, the more you think about and be in the fact that you can't sleep, or that you have problems sleeping, or this is you and you're neurotic, and the thoughts won't stop. The more you think about that, again, more like energy is going to be attracted. It's going to snowball on itself. Same thing with anxiety. The more you think that you have anxiety about something, the more anxiety you have about it. So if you're coming into a situation where you think you might be anxious, you're already anxious. You've already done that. So the trick is to inhale, exhale, get your nervous system, again, in neutral, feel that center energy, feel the grounding, and then go to the solution. You only focus on the solution. You don't focus on, in your mind, what the problem is and how you're going to solve it. So in the case of insomnia, this is probably the best. You focus on what it feels like to be sleeping. Not the fact that sleep happens for some and then it doesn't happen for you. Not the fact you can envision yourself sleeping, but that's kind of a step behind. If you visualize yourself lying there in your bed, crashed out, that's still a different thing that went through cognitive as just feeling the sensation of what it feels like to sleep. That will help you. And again, even if it doesn't help for a while, just inhale, exhale, release is going to allow you to do it. So I'm hoping, you guys, that this has been helpful to you. A lot of subjects covered, little meandering there. Releasing the mind all has to do with the breath and the subconscious nervous system. It doesn't have to do with your mind. So let go of your mind. Use your mind only for the purpose of allowing you to breathe and be in sensation. You focus on that simple thing. Inhale, exhale, feel the sensation of your breath. Feel what that feels like, and then feel the sensations in your body. Notice the release. Notice the change. That will begin to just in itself slow everything down so you can literally in your mind have perspective to release some of your thoughts. So there it is. It's Lynn from Life Yoga. If you want more information, if this has been helpful, again, like and share Transformation Talk with your friends. Let people know about it as far as this program goes. If you have suggestions for topics, things you have questions on, always, 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 you can go to the Life Yoga Facebook fan page. You should be on it right now. If you click Life Yoga, you'll end up on the Facebook fan page. Give that a like. Also, you can write in the comments. You can post questions. You can write in the comments. You can do all sorts of things. If you have questions about any of this, if you have topics you want covered, you know, I've gotten a lot of suggestions from people already, so I just kind of go in there, do my best every week, get something going on. But if you have specific things you want answered, if you have a topic you want discussed, if you want to get on here with me and discuss a topic, feel absolutely free. Please let your friends know, because this has been an issue. I just found out last couple of weeks. Let your friends know that this Transformation Talk is up all week. So if you want to review it, you can do that. You can also send other people here to view it, to get the information all the way through the week, and then the next week the next one goes up. That's kind of how it works. If you want more information on Life Yoga, you can go to lifeyogaworld.com. There's tons of blogs up there on the blog site, a lot of valuable information for you there. There's videos, some of it older, some of it newer, all subjects, all sorts of stuff happening there. Also, I don't know what I did with it. Funny. Oh, Life Yoga Manifesto, it's on Amazon. Spent last year writing that in a hammock. So if you haven't seen that, the first 5 chapters are available. If you click below here, that'll send you to a place to get the first 5 chapters. That also puts you on my list, which will give you all the new blogs, any information I have coming out there. If you're watching this and you've been on my list, I actually had my whole entire, almost my whole entire list deleted. So if you've given me your email and gotten in here before and you're not receiving things from me, get in there and opt in on that, and that'll, if you don't need the 5 chapters, you already got the book, all cool, but that will help you be able to access that stuff, so, and allow me to give you information. So there it is. You guys have a wonderful day. This is Lynn from Life Yoga. I hope it's been helpful. Please leave comments, any questions below here, and I will be sure to either answer them this week. I'll email you back if you stick it up there, respond back to you, or also I can answer you next week as well on Transformation Talk. So have a great, great day. It's a beautiful day. It's getting hot out here. I am going to take off. Just click the right button.